The wind howled through the branches of Yggdrasil, the world tree. It shook its mighty limbs, a groan echoing across the realms. A storm was coming, fiercer than any before. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, a premonition of doom. The very roots of existence trembled. The sky churned, a maelstrom of darkness and fury. Below, the villagers huddled in fear. They knew the stories, they whispered the name Sköll with bated breath. The wolf, harbinger of Ragnarok, was coming. His hunger threatened to consume the sun, to plunge the world into eternal darkness. The prophecy was upon them. Leif, the youngest warrior of the village, stood apart. He was not just a boy anymore. He was a warrior, forged by the harsh winters and the relentless training of his elders. He watched the sky, his jaw set, his hand gripping the pommel of his sword. The clouds above seemed to mirror the turmoil within him, dark and foreboding. He felt the fear, cold and sharp, in the pit of his stomach. It was a fear that gnawed at his resolve, whispering doubts into his mind. But he refused to yield to it. He had been taught that fear was a companion to courage, not its enemy. He would harness it, use it to sharpen his senses. He had heard the elders' tales of bravery, of defiance against the cruel whims of fate. Stories of warriors who stood their ground, who faced insurmountable odds and emerged victorious. He would not cower. He looked at the faces around him, etched with terror and resignation. These were his people, his family, his friends. Their fear was palpable, a heavy weight that hung in the air. Their fear fueled his resolve. He could not let them down. He would be their shield, their sword, their beacon of hope in these dark times. He would not accept this fate. He would carve a new destiny with his own hands, one where his people could live without fear. He would not let Sköll devour their son, their hope. The ancient tales spoke of the wolf that chased the sun, threatening to plunge the world into darkness. But Leif believed that even the darkest myths could be rewritten. Leif drew himself up, his young eyes burning with a fierce light. He was ready to face whatever came, to fight with every ounce of strength he possessed. He would fight for his village, for his people, for the light itself. He would be the warrior they needed, the hero they deserved. And in his heart, he knew that no matter the outcome, he would give everything for them. The storm reached its crescendo. The winds howled like a chorus of tormented souls, and the rain lashed the earth with relentless fury. The once peaceful village was now a battleground between nature's wrath and human resilience. Lightning split the sky, illuminating a monstrous shape amidst the swirling clouds. Each flash revealed more of the beast, a creature of legend and nightmare, its form both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Sköll, larger than any wolf Leif could imagine, its eyes blazed with cold, hungry fire. The beast's presence was a dark omen, a harbinger of doom that sent shivers down the spines of all who beheld it. Its maw opened in a silent snarl, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Each tooth gleamed with a deadly promise, a testament to the countless lives it had claimed. It descended, a predator swooping down upon its prey. The air grew thick with tension, the villagers' fear palpable as they watched the beast's approach. Panic seized the villagers. They scattered, seeking shelter that wouldn't save them. Mothers clutched their children. Men shouted warnings, and the elderly hobbled as fast as their frail legs could carry them. But Leif stood his ground. Amidst the chaos, he was a pillar of resolve, his eyes fixed on the approaching menace. He knew that running was futile. The only option was to face the beast head-on. He felt a thrill course through him, not of fear but of defiance. This was the moment he had trained for, the moment he had envisioned in countless dreams and nightmares. This was his moment, his chance to prove his worth, to etch his name in the sagas. The stories of old spoke of heroes who faced insurmountable odds, and now it was his turn to become a legend. He raised his sword, its polished surface reflecting the lightning, a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. The storm raged on, but in that moment, Leif was the eye of the storm, calm and unyielding, ready to face whatever fate had in store. The wolf Sköll landed heavily, shaking the ground. It turned its baleful gaze upon Leif, a low growl rumbling in its chest. Leif stood firm, his heart pounding against his ribs. He knew he was outmatched, a boy facing a monster, but fear was a luxury he could not afford. He had to think to find a way. His gaze fell upon a shard of a broken mirror glinting on the ground. A memory flickered. A lesson from the village elder about the sun's reflection, about light and its power. An idea sparked in his mind, a desperate gamble. He would fight fire with fire, or in this case, darkness with light. Section 5. A flash of defiance. As Sköll lunged, Leif acted. He snatched the mirror shard from the ground. Holding it aloft, he angled it towards the sky, catching the blinding flash of lightning. The light struck the mirror, amplifying it, and directed a searing beam directly into Sköll's eyes. The beast roared in pain, the sound shaking the very foundations of Yggdrasil. It reared back, its eyes squeezed shut, blinded by the unexpected assault. Leif seized his chance. He charged forward, his sword singing as he swung it, putting all his strength and fury into the blow. Section 6. The howl of frustration. The sword met flesh. Leif felt a jarring impact as the blade found its mark, biting deep into Sköll's flank. The wolf howled again, a sound filled with pain and rage. It stumbled back, shaking its massive head, trying to clear the blinding light from its eyes. Leif pressed his attack. He was no longer a boy facing a monster, but a warrior battling for his people's survival. He danced around the blinded wolf, his sword flashing, each strike a testament to his courage and determination. Each blow chipped away at the beast's confidence, its aura of invincibility. Section 7. Beneath a wounded sky. The storm raged above, mirroring the battle below. But something had shifted. The wind, once filled with the promise of doom, now carried a hint of uncertainty. The lightning, once a herald of destruction, now seemed to falter, as if the very elements themselves were holding their breath. Sköll, wounded and disoriented, was on the defensive. It snarled and snapped, but its movements were clumsy, its attacks lacking their initial ferocity. Leif's courage had bought them time, had given them a fighting chance. Section 8. The will of a warrior. Leif felt exhaustion creeping in, his muscles screaming in protest. But he couldn't stop. Not now. He had to drive the beast back, had to protect his people. His grip tightened on his sword, his knuckles white with exertion. He would fight until he could fight no more. He saw fear in Sköll's eyes, a flicker of doubt where once there was only hunger. The wolf, for the first time, was questioning its prey, its destiny. Leif had shown it that even the mightiest of creatures could bleed, could be challenged. Section 9. A moment of respite. With a final earth-shuddering roar, Sköll retreated. It leaped back into the storm, disappearing into the swirling clouds. The wind howled one last time, then began to die down. The lightning faded, leaving behind an eerie calm. The storm, like the monstrous wolf, had been driven back. Leif stood there, panting, his sword still raised, bathed in the weak light of the struggling sun. He had done it. He had faced a god-eating wolf and lived to tell the tale. He had defied the prophecies, challenged fate itself. Section 10. The Unwritten Saga. A cheer erupted from the villagers as they emerged from their hiding places. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and joy, a stark contrast to the silence that had gripped the village for so long. The villagers, who had been living in fear and uncertainty, now felt a sense of relief and hope. They had been hiding, waiting for a sign, and now it had come. They looked at Leif with awe and gratitude, their savior, their hero. He stood tall among them, his presence a beacon of hope. The children gathered around him, their eyes wide with admiration, while the elders nodded in respect. Leif had not only saved their lives, but had also restored their faith in the possibility of a brighter future. He had given them hope, had shown them that even the most dire of destinies could be fought against. His bravery had inspired them all, reminding them that courage and determination could change the course of their lives. Leif's actions had sparked a fire within the hearts of the villagers, a fire that would burn brightly for generations to come. Leif lowered his sword, a slow smile spreading across his face. The battle had been hard fought, but the victory was sweet. He felt a sense of accomplishment and pride, knowing that he had made a difference. The weight of the sword in his hand was a reminder of the struggles he had faced, but also of the strength he had found within himself. He knew Sköll would return. The prophecies were clear. The ancient scrolls spoke of a time when darkness would once again threaten their land. But Leif was not afraid. He had faced the darkness before and had emerged victorious. The prophecies were not set in stone. They were warnings, challenges to be met and overcome. But he also knew that he would be ready. Each battle had made him stronger, more resilient. He had learned from his experiences, and he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but Leif was determined to shape it with his own hands. He had looked into the eyes of a monster and found a way to fight back. The memory of that confrontation was etched into his mind, a testament to his courage and resolve. He had faced his fears and had emerged stronger for it. The monster had been a formidable foe, but Leif had proven that even the greatest of challenges could be overcome. He had discovered a strength within himself he never knew he possessed. This newfound power was not just physical, but also mental and emotional. It was the strength of character, the will to persevere, and the courage to stand up for what was right. Leif had grown not just as a warrior, but as a leader and a beacon of hope for his people. The future was not predetermined, but a saga yet to be written, and he, Leif, would have a hand in writing it. He looked out over the village, his heart filled with determination. The story of their land was far from over, and Leif was ready to face whatever came next. Together with his people, he would forge a new path, one of hope, courage, and endless possibilities.